Breaking news: Mercedes conflicts with Ferrari and Red Bull. Mercedes is far away from the tempo they used to have in the previous 8 seasons. They aren't remotely close to the speed of Red Bull and Ferrari, and all of their finishes above these manufacturers were because of the reliability issues of the latter two. This is why the team is trying to catch up in different ways, and that has brought the Silver Arrows into a conflict with Ferrari and Red Bull. The dispute over the porpoising and bottoming out that is suffered by the 2022 cars is the central part of the dispute, as the FIA made an initial attempt to intervene for the Montreal GP regarding this problem. Mercedes were pushing for this intervention to happen, but Ferrari and Red Bull have pushed back against this technical directive. Toto Wolff reacted to these pushbacks as a pitiful political game, as the team is in desperate need of help regarding their porpoising and bottoming out problems. So why are Mercedes so much against this directive? And was the FIA's postponing the right thing to do in such a delicate situation? Stick with us to find out, but before you do, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. That way, you'll help us grow as a channel and post more quality content with every day passing by. Back to work. First, let's talk about why this problem is occurring at all. The new rules are causing the ground floor cars to bounce more due to the increased stiffness and decreased quality of the ride. The goal of the ground effect is that you need to run the car as low as you can, something that wasn't a problem before 2022. But now, the cars are wider and heavier, so when teams are trying to lower them to the ground as much as they can, the phenomenon of porpoising happens due to the air stalling beneath the floor and the ground. Multiple drivers have raised their voices regarding this matter, as the neck and back stiffness from the ride is just unbearable in the long-term period. Due to this problem, capturing more teams, well, all teams except Red Bull, the FIA were forced to react to it, and chances of them reacting on the Montreal GP were high. The intervention itself was considered a good one, and drivers were expecting nothing less from the FIA, but the beginning of it was controversial to say the least. The FIA rules are basically focused on measuring the vertical oscillations of the car, which is practically the porpoising phenomenon. They will also focus on the skids and planks, both in terms of their design and the observed wear. The formula by which the oscillations will be measured is yet to be determined, but what's most interesting is that FIA won't apply changes to regulative to fight the porpoising problem. Instead, if a driver porpoises too much, the team will be forced to increase the height of the car. Now, to those who don't know much about this problem and are new to the sport, this solution was available from day one. But as soon as you increase the ride height, you lose downforce and gain more drag, and the ground floor effect is decreased by a massive amount. This is why teams like Mercedes wanted a solution that will help them battle the porpoising problem with the already existing rules, which would be a much needed helping hand to their already underperforming car. In other words, the FIA has permitted the usage of a second floor state to try to help any struggling teams stiffen their floors and help prevent the porpoising problem. This is where the controversial matter starts, as Mercedes were the only team that tried to do exactly that in Montreal. Of course, FIA has announced that in the future, they'll try to intervene in the technical regulations to fight the porpoising problem, a thing that was massively accepted by the majority of the team's principals, one of which is BINOTTO. He said that it's valid to try to tackle the porpoising phenomenon through technical regulations, and you can understand his point considering the fact that the Ferrari is one of the teams caught severely by this problem. However, the short-term decision of the FIA didn't leave Red Bull and Ferrari satisfied at all. BINOTTO went to the extent to say that the new rules were issued by mistake. They have been issued by mistake. Part of it, the metric, has not been applied. The extra brackets have not been fitted in any car for the weekend, so a big noise for nothing, said BINOTTO. His argument is that a TD, which is issued by the FIA technical department, can only be used to clarify or help police existing regulations. It's not a function that exists to change regulations or introduce new ones. Otherwise, according to Ferrari, the F1's governance system is being ignored. On the other hand, Red Bull is heavy against applying new regulations regarding the porpoising matter. No one could blame them, as they are the only team that managed to fix this problem from the start. Team principal HORNER keeps insisting that this is a conceptual issue for teams, not a wider issue with the regulations. Therefore, it's down to them to deal with problems of this nature, not the FIA. You can't just suddenly change technical regulations halfway through a season. If a car is dangerous, a team shouldn't field it. It has that choice. Or the FIA, if they feel an individual car is dangerous, they always have a black flag at their disposal, said HORNER. This has of course dragged the anger out of Wolff in a vast manner. His team is looking for a helping hand every day, and if you saw Hamilton's performance in Canada, you'd start thinking that he has been faking the back pain in Baku. The FIA has started to gather data from all the cars at the Montreal practice, but the bouncing metric that was announced by them wasn't established for the race. After all, it's a complex problem and it's unique for data gathered by different cars, so they'll have to work a little bit around this situation. Therefore, the Silverstone GP would be the next race that could see these regulations being fully applied. Yet another controversial matter is that this was notified to the teams 24 hours after the technical directive had been revealed in the first place. This problem was discussed on Saturday morning, and Toto Wolff was one of the loudest voices there regarding dissatisfaction with this situation. One very interesting comment was added by Christian Horner, as he said, "I think there was an element of theatre going on in that morning. Maybe with Lewis's new movie coming along, Wolff is getting a role for it," added Horner. His comments were made because the Netflix crew were also there, hinting that this problem will be caught in the new season of Drive to Survive, a documentary revolving around the F1 world. Mercedes are in the center of this situation because their car is the worst performing one from the leading pack, and George Russell, the director of the Grand Prix Drivers Association, has raised his voice to the FIA. He has been pushing for changes in the name of all drivers, but was mostly vocally supported by his teammate Lewis Hamilton and Wolff. However, many believe that this is just a way for Mercedes to receive a rule change due to their inability to fix the porpoising problem, which has turned into a bottoming out problem for the team. Apart from them, Ferrari and Red Bull are not very keen on the idea of in-season changes, as they say it could have a tangible impact on their title battle. If the metrics suggest that the Ferrari car is bouncing more than it should, then the team would be forced to increase the ride height and lose performance, something that the team has no intention to do now that they are so close in the fight. The competitive agenda is stronger than ever, and even Wolff himself said that the sincerity of his position will be questioned for the right reasons to do so. However, he quoted Perez saying that you could lose your vision when braking, and comments by Sainz, Ricciardo, Ocon and Magnussen as evidence that this is much more than a problem for one team. After the meeting, in which Wolff seemed to enter into some serious arguing with BINOTTO and Horner, the Mercedes principal went to hit out at unnamed other teams in public. This situation has clearly gone too far. Team principals trying to manipulate what is being said in order to keep the competitive advantage, and trying to play political games when the FIA tries to come up with a quick solution to at least put the cars in a better position is disingenuous. This is a safety risk, and coming up with little manipulations in the background or Chinese whispers or briefing the driver is just pitiful, added Wolff. Mercedes have managed to keep itself in the center of this problem by using the second floor stay on its car in Montreal Friday practice. This was allowed by the FIA and followed an initial agreement way back between the pre-season tests that the teams could add a first floor stay, something not permitted by the regulations. Mercedes say that the second stay was an attempt at responding to the FIA technical directive on the side. It appeared on George Russell's car in FP1 and on Lewis Hamilton's car in FP2. Although it couldn't be explained how Mercedes reacted so quickly on this matter, the team could have taken an existing stay, shortened it, and put it on the mounting points on the body and more in board on the floor. With that being said, what do you think is the next thing in this conflict? Do you think that the FIA will be pressured by the porpoising problem to add extra measures and rules? Or do you think that the teams will be forced to lift the ride height and sacrifice performance for the good of their own drivers? Let us know in the comments, as we'll be more than happy to hear your opinions.